Thank you, Professor Zhang, and thank you for the organizers for allowing me to present my work. So my name is Yu Kyung-ha. I'm a PCCE fellow at the NYU School of Law. So PCCE stands for Program and Corporate Compliance and Enforcement. So it's basically doing research on securities regulation and corporate governance and such. So today I'll be talking about self-regulating the digital finance, more specifically regulating cryptocurrency in South Korea. So first I'll look into crypto crashes, a few crypto crashes that happened recently, which sparked calls for regulation and more legislation in this space. And second, I'll look into why specifically I think self-regulation might be one solution for this unregulated space. And third, I'll be looking into the self-regulating activities that are happening right now in South Korea. And fourth, I'll set forth a few proposals and discuss a little bit of challenges that I think might, that the legislation will face. So crypto asset, I won't discuss about it, but it's a $1 trillion industry more recently. So in 2021, the industry had an all-time high of a 2.9 trillion market value, which dropped in May, which was just about the Luna Terra crash. It dropped to 1.2 trillion. I don't have the numbers now, but I expect it's going to be much less than that because recently the market prices have been crashing and the bubble has basically burst. So, but the problems of crypto we have well recognized is that basically it's unregulated. Politicians have said it's like the Wild West where there's no laws and basically you can do whatever you want. There's no traditional forms of like financial regulation that we see in securities markets or banking industries that we see in our laws now. So there's a huge volatility in the market. There's a lack of entry barriers. So basically anybody with the right technology and knowledge could enter this space. And so there was a lot of fraud, scams, market manipulation, things that we normally do not allow in traditional securities markets happen in the crypto industry. A lot of lack of transparency and a lot of accountability gap issues. So I argue elsewhere that the vulnerable at-risk consumers, the young, the elderly, financially unsavvy, unbanked people, the people who can least afford the losses are actually most invested in crypto. We see that both in the US and also in Korea. These are the people who invested in crypto and right now are seeing a lot of losses. So in May 2022, we saw the Luna Terra crash. Luna is a type of a stable coin. It's supposed to be pegged to a dollar, the US dollar, so it's supposed to be stable. But it crashed and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And these people are just like, I guess, smart people like dentists in the US. They invested in this money and they lost a lot of money. But the crash brought a wide ripple effect, which led to especially discussions of legislation in Korea because the Luna founder is a Korean person named Do Kwon. And currently the investigation is ongoing. I just checked the web right now. And I think the co-founder of Luna was arrested and such. So the case is ongoing. And more recently, in November 8th, FTX, which is the second largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, filed bankruptcy. So FTX is a US-based company. It's a household name. It's a famous, very well-known, well-established, well-connected company in the US, and it collapsed. And right now, it's a lot of people in the US are looking for regulation. And the reason for the collapse was poor governance, questionable transactions with affiliated companies. It was hacked, so it's all sorts of bad things happening that we would normally think that if it was a listed company or if it was a securities exchange, these types of transactions, questionable activities would normally be regulated, illegal, and should not happen in these types of companies. So there's a massive call for regulation legislation following the two scandals, and also the crypto bubble has bursted as the economy slows. So more and more consumers, investors are losing money in this space. So basically, it's what I argue is that the crypto should be regulated like securities, regulated like a financial asset, and especially regulated like a retail consumer financial product. So therefore, the sellers or the exchanges or the market makers of this investment product have to explain the risks entailed into it, and and introduce a securities like regulation in this space. But what I also thought that the exchanges, the crypto exchanges are the weakest link in the chain. So they are the entities in the middle that broker the selling and buying of cryptos, and they are unregulated. So there are questionable activities happening within the exchanges, and I'll discuss this later. So these crashes called for international coordination and for self-regulation. So after the Luna FTX failure, more governments, the US government, the Korean government, and also international organizations are all working towards some version of regulation or legislation. However, the complexity, diversity, technicality of the market means that traditional regulators, the security regulators, financial regulators do not have the expertise. They don't understand the market very well, so they're very cautious. Even the lawmakers, even if they want to make a law, it's taking them a lot of time studying the industry and trying to understand exactly what crypto is. It is what type of financial asset it is. Is it a security, futures, or whatever it is? They're having a hard time figuring out what it is. So in Korea, 13 bills were submitted to the National Assembly, and right now the Korean government is proposing a law, is writing a law, and right now it's called the Digital Asset Basic Act, but it's going to be called in something later. But the bill is basically focused on a consumer investor protection, and it is to be submitted by the legislators to the legislators by the Korean financial regulator. So why should we self-regulate this space? So I look into a little bit of academic discussions of self-regulation. So what is self-regulation? So it's different from self-governance. It could be confused with different terms. For example, private regulation, self-governance, voluntarism, and also there's like firm level governance, industry level self-regulation, and such. But the self-regulation that I think is needed in space is the industry level self-regulation, and also government required, government mandated self-regulation. So it's not just the industry just doing their own things, but it has an element of government oversight. The government has to have a law that mandates the self-regulatory organizations to behave and follow the laws in a certain way. So drawing on the concepts from the academic debates, we could call it as an auditive self-regulation. So it's audited in a sense that the federal agencies, federal regulatory agencies can look into these SROs, or it could be an embedded self-regulation. So it would embed the financial practices in broader social values, and embedded with public interest. So building on these concepts, in this paper, I advocate a regulated self-regulation model for regulating the crypto assets. And then there's like justification and I guess rationale for self-regulation. Why do we self-regulate? It's normally because the industry players, they have the expertise, technical knowledge. It's flexible, it's fast, especially in the crypto space, because it's so difficult and it's really fast moving. Self-regulation is one solution. And also it's a huge cost reduction technique, because the government agencies, the financial regulators normally don't have resources lying around. The self-regulation can move the cost to the industry to regulate themselves. However, there are criticisms. For example, there's always conflict of interest, self-serving, self-interested, and so self-regulation for many reasons that I will discuss in the Korean case also, it can fail spectacularly. So in order for self-regulation to be effective, there are like two factors: the industry factor, and the second I see is the government factor, the regulatory structure factor. So the industry factor means that the organized industry is able to and willing to self-regulate. So they have to have, the entities have to have the incentives and motivations, the economic self-interest to actually regulate themselves. And scholars say it's a community of fate. So if one fails, the whole industry fails. So that's kind of what we're seeing in the crypto space right now. So just the total lack of trust in crypto draws the investors away from this investing in the assets, which means that the industry is in a community of fate. And the regulatory structure factor means that there has to be a formal framework or government regulation or enforcement looking over the self-regulatory structure. So government agencies have to be able to oversee, audit, investigate, enforce the laws, and looking into the activities of the regulatory bodies. And the regulatory frameworks must effectively internalize the externalities by efficiently transferring costs to the industry. So if we look at what happened in Korea, so in 2018, we can see there is a Korea Blockchain Association was established, and a lot of the media reports in English and in both in Korean set forth what they were planning to do back in 2018. So back then it included both the 5 major exchanges and also smaller exchanges and related blockchain companies. So it had a really diverse membership. And the 2018, looking at the media reports, show that this association was really ambitious. So it was planning to set forth self-regulatory guidelines, which included matters that resemble formal government oversight. So it had a really robust, I should say, guidelines, or the ambitions were robust. So it included record-keeping requirements, managing clients' funds separate from their own funds, and also various consumer protection mechanisms, also to publish the audit and financial reports, and also to conduct on-site inspections. So they were saying that they would conduct on-site inspections of certain exchanges. So it had a really potential, but I don't know how, it's unclear how much was actually followed through. And in 2021, the news report says that the membership increased. So there was 50 plus companies. But in 2022, following the Luna Terra crash, when the government decided to intervene and do more sorts of regulation, the 5 major exchanges canceled the membership. So they are drawn out. They're no longer members of this association. And the media reports that there is a disagreement on the membership fees, authorities. So this actually highlights the difficulty of an SRO, a self-regulatory organization, balancing 2 roles, dual roles. One would be effective self-regulation, another be acting as an industry lobby group. And then what happened was that after the 5 major organizations, the exchanges, after they withdrew from the blockchain association, they made up their own alliance called DAXA. And this was, I think it's partly government driven because these exchanges were criticized and partly investigated by the Korean government, criticized to fail to deal with the Luna crisis effectively. So right now, during the past couple of months, these exchanges are holding governments with the holding meetings with the government and the politicians, and they're saying they're making industry self-regulatory guidelines covering a number of activities. And most recently, they have announced listing and delisting guidelines of the cryptocurrency in October this year. However, there is still criticism or worry about these guidelines because these loose guidelines are not likely to work because the exchanges are, in essence, they're in competition with each other. And there's also no legal authority for these guidelines. There's no statutory basis for this. And most recent incident is that there was a WeMix token that was delisted according to DAXA, and it's being disputed and at the court. So the WeMix company, or WeMade company, filed an injunction with the court disputing the DAXA's decision to delist the WeMix token. And the government still doesn't have any regulatory authority in this space. So looking at these crypto agencies, so is it an appropriate candidate for effective self-regulatory regime? The industry factor, maybe, because there is a potentially, DAXA could serve as an organized industry, and there is a motivation to comply because there is a community of fate type of situation. But as of now, there is no regulatory structure to sustain effective self-regulatory regime in Korea. So the proposals that I set forth is that the Digital Asset Basic Act, which the Korean government is drafting right now, it should have a statutory foundation for self-regulation conducted by the SRO. So it has to have, so we have this framework already in the Korean Capital Market Act has a similar type of a framework for securities organizations and security exchanges. So we have to have that element of government oversight and a mandated security exchange in this space too. And self-regulation shouldn't be discussed as a government abdication. So the government has to keep the shotgun, have to get it ready, but just hope that it doesn't have to use it, but it still has to have its powers. And also the proposal should include elements that the FSC, FSS, the Korean regulatory agencies should have both enforcement powers to oversee the SROs and the individual exchanges. And also the regulators have to have the powers to approve SRO membership. There should be fines, suspensions, expulsion from the industry, and investigatory and disciplinary powers. So we have to have these powers in order for the regulatory regime to work. And another, I guess, challenges that I think we might see to self-regulating crypto is that these Korean laws or the US security laws always think about these SROs. The exchanges will be a centralized entity, but the crypto essentially tries to decentralize. So they call themselves DeFi, decentralized finance, and there are various dimensions of decentralizing verification, clearing, and settlement of the crypto transactions. So so there might be technical difficulties in actually having the exchange overseeing all of the market, because it probably will not be able to see the entire crypto transactions. And another issue is that the SROs, the self-regulatory organizations, are essentially national organizations, Korean organizations, so their authority will only be look into the Korean market, whereas the crypto is actually traded internationally. So more than $7.2 billion were actually sent from Korea to foreign crypto exchanges. So a lot of the activity is happening not in Korea, so not through the Korean exchanges, but in foreign exchanges. So there's a limitation to self-regulating crypto within Korea. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, I'll be happy to respond.
Thank you, Professor Ha. I enjoyed your presentation so much. Is there any question from the floor? Well, I have a couple of questions with my very thin knowledge about all these cryptocurrencies. Well, I just want to know if cryptocurrency is defined as a security, like an investment asset, or if it is like defined as a currency. I think if it is, if the cryptocurrency itself is defined differently, I think it should be managed in a different manner. That's what I thought. Also, like, you know, like the financial literacy of the Korean financial consumers are pretty low compared to other like developed countries. I think so. In order to in order for self-regulation to work effectively, I think maybe it would be also like a provision of like guidelines for like the youngsters, and not only youngsters, like but also like elderly people, so that to get more knowledge or understanding of the of how the current cryptocurrency works, something like that. Yeah, just all youngsters, they all dive into, investing in, blockchain and in cryptocurrencies these days, and without any actually, as far as I know, even with my friends, we do not really have basic knowledge or understanding of like how currency works, but we just dive into investing all these currencies, just hoping that it skyrockets. But but as the recent crashes suggest, there's inherently like existed some kind of like volatilities and high risks, right? So I mean, I just want to know your like opinions towards these. Yeah.
Thank you. So regarding whether crypto is a security or currency, so I think back in 2018, people in Korea, they said it was like a cryptocurrency. They call it like 암호화폐,
Right.
but more we call it like crypto asset. So it's treated more like a financial asset, and that I think it's because more people in Korea, especially, or elsewhere in a lot of the world, like US, or they're treating it as an investment asset. So it's treated more like an asset.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore you have to have like it's investor protection for this.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not it's a security under for example, securities law in the US or securities under Korean securities law is a legal question that it's being debated a lot. So crypto is not like one form. They have like very different variations. They do crazy things with it. So and securities is defined very specifically in each law. So I think I know that the US SEC, the securities regulator, has found some of the cryptos do fall under security under the US law. So they have done enforcement actions, but that's also being disputed by the companies or the crypto exchanges. So the actors are saying it's not a security under securities law, so therefore you shouldn't impose that enforcement action. Mm-hmm. And if we look back into Korea, so looking at the Luna Terra case where they're doing the investigations, I think they're having a real trouble like trying to define it into the securities under this Korean securities law. So Korean Capital Market Act defines securities, and it's difficult. So basically, I think they're finding that Luna Terra coin is not a security, or it's difficult to define it into a security under Korean securities law. So that's why it's so difficult for the investigations to move forward to define that the Luna Terra related actions as a violation of the Securities Act in Korea. And regarding the financial literacy, yeah, so that's also if you look at the traditional financial like securities, you see like high risk financial assets are so like if you go to a securities company, a broker, a 증권회사 in Korea, you have to fill in like a questionnaire to see if your risk tolerance is high, or if you have a knowledge, or and they ask you like, why are you investing in this? And if you're not categorized as a high risk individual, you are not allowed to trade in like high risk securities like derivatives, where there's a high risk of losing money. Or at least there's like a lot of warnings that this is very, very dangerous, or very, very high risk. You have a risk of like losing all your money. But if you go to crypto, like I think if you're not a minor, so if you're just like an adult under Korean legal age, anybody can trade anything.
Right.
So and there's of course they have those risk warnings. So this is like a really risky thing. Yes, nobody pays attention. So and there's so there are less I guess less education, less awareness out there, and less roadblocks to trade crypto. And that I think that's part of a big issue, and that should be, I guess, the education element should be included in the new legislation too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for your clarification. Yeah, I enjoyed your presentation so much. Yeah, would you mind sending your presentation over to my email later, maybe?
Professor Kim has a question.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a question about the cryptocurrency protection. I think the investor to invest in cryptocurrency are new. The cryptocurrency is very dangerous already. So I think this the Luna accident, Luna cases, and any other cryptocurrencies bankruptcy cases, it is not imperfect sales problem, I think.
Okay.
The people to invest cryptocurrency around me enjoying very high rate of earning, and they're early adopter to about the investment products. So I think is my question is the self-regulating regime about cryptocurrency law. So is very, very important and mainstream, I think. So the cryptocurrency is very, very dangerous market. So the consumer protection method is a very approach is another pragmatic approaches, I think. So so I think another way to protect financial consumer about cryptocurrency investment is let them know it is very dangerous, high dangerous market. So they know. So it is first of all, financial education is the most important way in this situation, I think.
Yeah. So
How
I
about
think, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think yeah, I think financial education, and I think mis-selling and financial education is different from it should be addressed differently from what I'm talking about in this presentation. Is like self-regulating means the securities exchanges themselves engage in actually illegal acts.
Yeah.
So it's basically fraud. They're like so what happened in the FTX case is that they had affiliated companies and they're moving around money amongst themselves, which is illegal in our normal financial world.
Yeah.
That's and they're also basically moving like customer account money to their own account or something like that. So it's just, I think it's a different issue from being dangerous because it's a dangerous financial product, being volatile. It's different from just like illegal activities where the exchanges are not following their basic rules or what we normally see in financial intermediaries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We still have 3 or 4 minutes. Is there any other question? Right. Okay, thank you, Professor He, for joining our conference. Yeah, I guess time for you to go to bed like very soon, right? It's New York there. It's Friday evening. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your presentation again. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right. Shall we just move on to the next presenter? Okay, let's just wait for just 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, the next presenter, Professor Dong Il-seo from Chungnam National University. His presentation will start at 10 a.m. Yeah, so we still have 3 minutes. Just like wait for a few minutes.
그러니까 이제 한츠 이런 거 진짜 그거 나왔으면 좋겠다. 꼭 홀로 나오는 거 아니야?
영어도 잘해요.
All right, it's 10 o'clock. So, Professor Dong Il-seo, are you ready there?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, good morning,
hear
sir. Good morning, sir. Okay, so Professor Dong Il-seo is going to discuss about current issues on water quality management. He's directly delivering his presentation in the MBA class.
And somehow video is showing you, not me.
We can see your presentation slides though. Yeah.
I'd like to show my face first of all, but somehow, here we go. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm an engineer, and I'm quite scared to be here because I need to translate my language, English, engineering language to MBA language. But I will try to do my best to deliver what you may be interested in about what I'm doing. Well, okay, let's just get on to if I can hit something, maybe. Okay. Well, today I'm going to talk about some environmental issue, especially water quality issue that I am doing and studying, researching, and teaching. And before I start, I want to talk about train and water. We know train. That's the transportation method that can actually carry customers and goods. And water is doing the same thing. It carries the stuff. So actually, if we talk about definition of concentration, that's mass per volume. We call that as a milligram per liter. Well, pollution level can be also described as pollutant mass per volume water. So actually, we have two different things: pollutant customers or goods in the train, which is water. So water is actually the carrier of the stuff.
Sorry to interrupt. 교수님 죄송한데 저기 슬라이드 쇼를 한번 눌러주시겠어요?
We have to probably do it all over again, maybe. So I'm sorry, I have a bad assistant here. So let's blame him, not me. Okay, well, let me just go over a little bit, but I will be brief. And actually, water, I explained that as a means of carrying something in our body, in the plant, in the nature. And train is doing the same thing. Actually, can be a plane or any other carrier. So I wanted to differentiate those two. A pollutant is goods or customers that we are carrying, and water is something like the means of delivering those elements. Okay, and we have some problem there. And okay, so this is the animation anyway. So I will just go over. And I want to start with introducing you some jargons that you need to remember. Well, maybe I'll be speaking foreign language to you. now. Actually, I'm speaking English, but anyway. This is my introduction and conclusions for today. I want you to remember what is SDG, what is ESG, you probably know. What is carbon neutral? What is climate change? Well, those, I think, jargons you have heard about so many times, but you maybe have not have your time to really think about what are those. SDG is the kind of goals that United Nations made, that every nation in the world wants to meet that goal by year 2030. And so they have 17 different categories, which is food, hunger, and things like that. But many of them are related to environmental issues and also water issue. So when I teach my students, and I want them to aware of the international trend of this kind of stuff, because government every government tries to meet this goal. That means they need to invest. They need to set aside budget. So that's the money you are interested in, right? So this is the kind of indication where money will be invested on. Another stuff is ESG. That's environmental, that's acronym of environmental and society and governance. I'm going to talk about a little bit. Actually, I think the subtitle of this conference is also includes that acronym. Or the carbon neutral. Carbon neutral means just nothing. It's not right, it's not left. It's not up, it's not down. It's just neutral. It means we produce lots of CO2, carbon dioxide. And then we need a lot of trees and other means to observe that bad stuff or shock. So we want to be balanced between those bad things and good things. And so that's carbon neutral. So in other words, if you need to develop an area, you need to develop also that much of the forest that you can neutralize the carbon the dioxide productions. And the other stuff is climate change. Climate change, we know that, okay? Because we experience lots of different weather patterns, especially in the past summer, and we had some really serious problems. Those are kind of indications of climate changes. What is climate change? Because temperature rises, and then depend on the temperature, you have different density. Different density means you have a higher density and lower density, and higher density flow will be moving to the bottom of the low density air or liquid, and that makes current in the ocean, in the air. And because different temperature pattern on Earth will make different circulation pattern, so you will have different moisture and different condensation and different rain pattern. And that's what happens. And everybody in the science sector wants to predict and where and when, how much is going to happen, but it's very difficult. The climate change that is published by IPCC, and we have right here, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. That's the United Nations group that published the prediction report. And this year, they reported the so-called annual report 6, AR6. I want you to remember that report as well. Because so far, we've been relying on AR5, which was the previous report, and AR6 now is the newest report that includes the prediction of the future status of the temperature and rainfall. Okay, so when we talk about climate change, and many of us, most well, the only scientific paper that makes us in the same page, no matter if whether this is right or wrong, we don't know that, but we want to be in the same page based on their AR6 report. Okay, so those are important messages. And what is ESG? And ESG is the acronym of, as I said, environmental, social, and governance. Environmental actually is defined as everything around you, okay? Everything, including air, water, and soil. But I'm gonna be briefly introduce about what I'm doing, which is because I study about water quality management. And it's good. And social means that is the another meaning of corporate social responsibility. Okay, and the companies, they are the part of the social system, so they have to be responsible to anything that is required or that is good for them and the customers. And in here, inside in here, it includes equality and diversity. Also, governance is the how transparent they are in their running the business. So the company structure and human resources and management, and that means governance. Governance is kind of decision-making group. Okay, so those are very much important stuff. And but social stuff and governance stuff you have been talking about, we've been listening about many times, so I don't think I need to do something about that this time. Water issues can be differentiated as three, but this is my categorization. And too short, too little, too small is the problem. So that's the drought issue, and stable water supply is very important. And we need the water for drink, we need water for industry, we need water for agriculture, things like that. And then too much water is a problem. We had some bad experience in this summer. So flood is a problem. Also, the bad quality water is a problem. Another problem that I want to emphasize is so far we have not been talking about this because somehow my background is civil engineering, but civil engineers they don't really do care about the environment, but they now have to do it. So I want to emphasize that environmental factor and water quality factor is very much important. And I want to briefly talk about what kind of water quality issues that we have to know. Because if there's a problem and government or local government, they will pay attention to that. And then that means then people will want to do something about that. And then local government or government have to do something. And that means money as well. So this is the one of the very much famous pictures, and in Korean it is written as green something, but it's called as HAPS, harmful algal blooms. And I actually wrote a little policy brief, like a textbook for policymakers. And about that, and they call that as HAPS. And that happens in freshwater. Freshwater means lakes and rivers. That does not have salt water, and it's called it freshwater. Okay. And then also that happens in the salt water or coastal water. And in that case, it is also called as red tide. Red tide. Because when phytoplankton, it's different group of phytoplankton actually that can live in the saltwater situation, and their color of the photosynthetic activity is a little bit different, and there they have a red color. That's why. So, but they cause a problem of toxicity to the fish inside, and also they can affect the human health. Also, they can affect the shellfish poisoning, and sometimes if we consume the poisoned shellfish, then we have some problem. Also, oxygen depletion inside the coastal area, and that causes a problem that requires oxygen to breathe, right? And this is the paper that we submitted to UNESCO, and I hope this can be published before this year is gone, but I don't know. They are working on it. As you know, they are not as fast as we are. We are really fast of doing something, and if we have to do it, we just do it. But the Paris is very different. Okay, I gotta go vacation. That's it. So I need to wait. Anyway, so we wrote something about the HABs, and then the major theme in here is science can do something for preventing and mitigating or management of those problems. Okay, and then next topic that I want to talk about, microplastics. And you now have water bottles, and that will break down, okay, by pieces and pieces and pieces. Eventually, it'll become really small, and if that becomes less than 5 millimeters in diameter, we call it as microplastics. And plastics, it does not decompose. It is not decomposable. In other words, it just stays forever. Okay, so if that becomes really small, and the fish can eat, but that can still inside fish the internal organ. And the biggest problem is the salt. Actually, the natural salt nowadays contains lots of plastics that you are drinking. So we always, whenever we do some preparation, we do prepare lots of kimchi for hibernation for winter, and then we try to buy best quality salt, but the natural salt nowadays no problem. So now you can see lots of people have a presentation package that includes Himalayan salt, right? That does not come from the sea, that comes from the mountain. That may be why. So now we have some issue. But this is actually in the domain of common sense, actually, and because microplastics is everywhere. So in my clothes, I have the source of the microplastics. Actually, as you can see in the I don't know which side of the story, but the cosmetics or toothpaste. And in the cosmetics, we have a nanoparticles or something like that, right? That is really small plastics that can make you somehow abrade your skin and messaging your skin and to observe the cosmetics more efficiently. But eventually it will not go away. So that's the problem. Packaging and shipping and lots of clothing. And then if you have vortex the clothes, and they will break down. But it will not go away, but it will become microplastics to cars and trucks. And so fish can be affected by that kind of thing, and they can be suffocated, being tangled, or ingest, and eventually we will eat them. And so they also carry lots of other stuff. That's the problem. Another thing is micropollutant. And I don't know if you have heard about endocrine disruptor. I have to speak in Korean, 환경 호르몬. Right? The endocrine system actually is like this. It's a hormone system in your body. And then endocrine disruptor is the fake hormone. Okay, and you need the real hormone to transfer the message, but fake hormone comes in and knock your door and then just block your door and does not allow to come near the hormone. That means you have the subsystem in your metabolism. You cannot breathe, you cannot eat, you cannot circulate this stuff. The real big problem. So it has many problems in the brain part and the body part, and then also the other part. So I have listed something like this, but that has very something that shares lots of sort of problem. It has very much to do with the microplastics, but microplastics plus something, and something like the beta blockers, so right, and hypolipidemics, and painkillers, antidepressant, antibiotics. This is your problem. Antibiotics for animals and for fish, and they do supply too much. And then it comes out to the river system and to our drinking water system. And bronchodilators. This is the changing, right? Chemotherapy for the cancers. So there can be some medicines for somebody, but can be toxic for the other people that do not need that kind of stuff. So very important. So I did it. So water flow is like this, and when we have rain, it comes touch the land, and as soon as they touch the land, they will be mixed with pollutant. And then, but in the case of urban system, we have a sewage system, pipeline. This is different from the non-urban area, but you probably don't care about that. But nowadays, where the water money is important. And so far, we've been building lots of treatment and pipes. And I think so far, water has been invested on pipe issue. But I think now is the time to take care of the nature, the water itself, the groundwater, and the rainwater, right? So I think future your investment list should include those kind of stuff. So this is by Global Water Intelligence, and by year 2025, 900 billion is going to be invested for water industry. But this will only include pipe engineering only. And if we include natural engineering, you should put zero, maybe 1 0 or 2 zeros more. So this I think is only 10% of less than 10% of the whole water industry in the future. So I think we have to think about this, and then when you do your business, and then you may want to use this kind of information. This is from Global Water Intelligence, and then they publish annual report for the estimations. And fourth industrial revolution, you know that. First one is the power. Second one is industrialization. And third is computer. And fourth is transformer. That is marriage of software and hardware. We call that as the fourth industrial revolution. So now we have AIs, IoTs, and things like that. So in water industry, we also need to think about fourth industrial revolution. So when we diagnose, monitor, it's like taking care of our patients. So when we go to hospital, we take X-rays and MRIs, things like that. So same for the water and description. The doctor describe, oh, this guy needs medicine, this guy needs exercise, this guy needs rest, this guy needs operation, things like that. The practice is the real stuff that we do. And when you develop this kind of goal, we have some kind of cycle. So we need the goal and monitor and decision making and doing something good, something in practice, and then think about it, and then to have a discussion, and then go over and over again. So pollutant sources are coming from outside or inside and everywhere from urban and non-urban. So this is my state-of-art technology to take the sample, which is buckets, right? And then another thing is 주전자. I think this metal kettle is a lot better. It's sturdy. Even you can cook your ramen. So that's very good. But it's very beautiful to look at those kind of stuff. So in water situation, everything happens. I don't have enough time to explain everything. So, but water is a lot more complicated than you think. It's like diagnosing your patient, and patient they said I have a headache. You cannot just look at the headache only. So we have to look at everything that happens in your body and in your environment. So I developed some method long time ago, and then came up with this kind of picture to take a look at because depth-wise they are different and the side-wise they are different. So in other words, they are space and different in space and time in three-dimensional way, maybe 4 dimensional. So I developed some technique to measure those. We have done every time. But I said the decision making is modeling. Modeling is like try to identify what is elephant, and then we have used computer and things like that, and we don't know how the water molecule actually look like, but we just imagine, and those are models. And this is the model is that gives you some imagination. What kind of fit will I have if I throw that kind of flow? So actually, this thing with this computer stuff, we send our spacecraft to the Mars. So we have many different models, and also in the case of water, we have many different models and computer stuff that can estimate stuff. And this is something that I developed. And in the real world, this is Han River. And this is the what is this west coast, the fluctuation. So I have physics and chemistry and biology together and put them in the computer and then ask them to give me some result. So this is shows that the red stuff is the HABs that I talked about, and this is pretty bad in the Yoido area, which is Makodeki area. Okay. So, and I can see where and when that is bad, and then I will identify what is the cause, and then we'll do something about that. And this is the microplastics movement of the Han River, but you can also use it as a CSI, crime scene investigation. If this is something bad from the crime scene, and then chop the body, you can find that. Also, we can use some engineering to mitigate this issue. But if they are not delivered to the plant, and we have a real problem, but outside there, we also have another method. And in the urban case, we have lots of different options. And also I developed some system that we can predict and monitor and then make decision. Also, I like IU. So I developed the IU system. Let me show you. And I have ice storms here. And then my next one is IU storm system. And I don't know if she likes AI or not, but I will maybe, I don't know, she may invite me. Anyway, we're just, I have to conclude this session anyway. So SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals by year 2030, ESG, environmental, social, and governance. Okay, carbon neutral, carbon offset, carbon plus minus should be 0. climate change is the report is published by International Panel on Climate Change, and their current report is Annual Report 6, AR6 called as, and they will give us a scenario and what will happen in when, where, and when to find out. And the challenge is to use that information to predict what is going to happen in our country. HAPs, harmful algal bloom, microplastics, micropollutant, and this is also called the endocrine disruptors, or PPCP, pharmaceutical and personal care product. And those are the acronyms that you may wanna interest in or remember. But you may think I have talked about foreign languages, but everything is actually around us. It can be in the realm of the common sense. So if you are interested in, or if you just pay a little bit attention to, it's very easy to work together and manage them, and then long live the earth, right? Okay, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for your splendid speech about water management. Throughout this conference, we covered so many different ESG topics by a governmental or industrial level, but water management from its ESG perspective was particularly interesting because it is directly related to our lives and animals and the environment. Thank you, Professor. Is there any question from the audience?
You can speak in Korean, I can translate.
Well, may I cast one question? Yeah, just out of curiosity, I'd like to just ask you about one question. You mentioned that medicine can affect water management, right? So did you mean that, like, does it mean like water can pollute water? I mean, like water can be polluted if you take antibiotics as an example and just put it out of your body, or you know, does it mean like water can be polluted if you just throw away antibiotics? Like you mentioned that like medicine, like you know, personal care products or pharmaceutical products can pollute water.
Well, I don't really clearly hear you, but I think you asked about what is water quality issues again, and actually it's simply water. There is no pure water actually, and H2O is the definition of the structure of the water, but we need lots of nutrients and minerals for us. And but always, as anything else, we always need the appropriate level of the something. And if that is too low or too much, and then we have a problem. So, and eventually, if we drink really pure water, we'll have some problem because it will cause you. It's not going to deliver you that you need. So we always need. We already need to aware that we are. We cannot be just one extreme or the other. So sustainable means we just live together. We are connected together, and then the concentration or pollutant inside. Sometimes pollutant can be our nutrient. But if there is too much, and we cause a problem. So it's something like sugar. Right? So, and unfortunately, there is no really good quantitative definition. How much is good? How much is bad? We have some range in a statistical way, but that is also very good defense system for us to keep our job securely, right? But anyway. But there is the water quality issue also always as like we study about human medicine, and it requires consistent observation and evaluations.
Thank you. Is there any question from the audience?
And maybe I was too much clear, or you could not understand anything. Extreme is not good. As I said.
Is there a fundamental way to utilize the past? For example, you suggest that there's the method using equipment to reduce the microplastic. Yes, I think there will be a limit to reduce microplastics. So
The question was how is there any good way to manage microplastics issue, right? Okay. Well, first of all, if we did not invent plastics, and we will not have problem now, right? But that is a very foolish answer. But now we do. The Korea is doing really good about this actually, and we have a separate what is this collection system, reusable, right? So that's the best way, I guess. And in the engineering point of view, we do incinerate, or we just reprocess in a chemical way by melting them and then making another product. And also nowadays, the researches are going on to find out the bacteria or the microorganisms that can eat plastics. But plastics are very, the molecular size of plastic is very big. So they need to have big mouth, actually, but they are small. So, it'll take a lot of energy for them to eat the microplastics, but somehow we can, when we produce plastic product, maybe you can add something inside, or sugar or salt or something and interesting, and so that microbiology bacteria can eat better. So the researches are going on to develop a decomposable plastics and to find out the bacteria that can eat plastics. But we need to be very careful to find out bacteria that can eat plastics. They can become super bacteria. It can be very harmful to humans and the animals. So, and my personal experience is, do not overdo with the natural system. And we are living with it. We do not conquer the system. We cannot. So if we find something, and there should be another side effect. And if they do not have a predatory system, and if they don't belong to that, then we have a really big problem. So solving one problem is not problem every problem. So when we talk about ecosystem, we need to think about cycles of materials and how to get harmonized. How do you maintain or sustain the harmonized system is very important.
Thank you for your presentation. Actually, I prepared to the same subject today presentation. So I want to ask you, do we have a system to purify drug or pharmaceutical partnership kind of something? You mentioned that the chemotherapy drugs kind of things. You mentioned the PPCS, right?
PPCP.
PPCP, yeah. So we have a system to purify drugs
Yeah, well, if that is going to make you money, and you can purify anything. It's a matter of money, right? We cannot use the very much expensive method to purify rainwater because it's so much and nobody is going to use it. Okay, so there should be some reason to invest those. Of course, there are very fine chemical process that can convert A to B, convert 100 to 10. Yes, there are, but we are talking about the lots of dirty stuff that happens everywhere. Okay, in our bathroom, in our kitchen, in our backyard, things like that. So those kind of things can be delivered to, as I say, show in here, wastewater treatment system, hospitality, right? So they actually can, first of all, settle down the heavy stuff, and then filter the light stuff, and then also do the biological stuff. And also advanced treatment such as membrane system. Membrane system actually is good for, it is being used for your what is this drinking water system in your household, right? So they can actually separate water. They can separate actually little molecules, depend on the size of the membrane. So yes, there are techniques, but it's a matter of money. But in general, wastewater treatment plant can take up 80 to 90% of the stuff. But really bad stuff can still survive and then also can be delivered to our water system. And then we have problem. So in addition to the stuff that I talked about in here, we have so many different industrial chemicals. Actually, they cannot be removed from the system, but in general, much of the system is removed in wastewater treatment system, and then we try to do our best to identify what are the things that is not removed, and then what you can do about that, and those are the jobs for environment.
All right, excuse me. All right, I guess we need to move on to the next presenter. Thank you, Professor Dong-Yun sir. And we need to move on to the next presenter.
Yes, yes. Thank you for waiting. So this study examined the consumer insurance capacity and longevity risk management behavior. So it is Korea's real approach to the society in 2025. And Korean life expectancy as of 2020 is 84. And so we Korean are supposed to retire about 62 years old. So, and also specific gravity of a single household as of 2020 is 31.2%. So it is higher than United States. And also the gravity of a single household in 30s through 50s is of male is over 50%. So we Koreans face the longevity risk now, and especially who will take care of them in their later time. So I wonder who can purchase the insurances related to longevity risks. So I reviewed the previous literature. So the longevity, the types of longevity risk are living cost risk and disease risk, including medical cost risk and care service risk and death risk. And another point of my study topic is consumer financial capacity. The consumer consumer financial capacity has focused since the world financial crisis. And there are many studies about consumer financial capacity, including consumer knowledge and skill and attitude. The consumer financial literacy or capacity and financial capability is the effectiveness for longevity, personal longevity management behavior. There is no previous studies now. However, there are some studies about financial literacy and personal financial management. So there are these studies are these studies prove significant relationships, financial literacy and personal financial management, especially retirement, saving, asset management. They focus on their pension savings or investment for retirement. So after retirement life. So I think I wonder the consumers' personal strategies to have insurances related to longevity risks. So this is my studies topic, private personal problem solving about longevity risk management. So healthcare or purchase of private insurances or saving for old age life. So I especially focus on purchases of private insurances. So my research model is as below. The dependent variable is longevity risk management behavior. It is defined as types of purchase of private insurance related to longevity risks. So I have cluster analysis for purchases of 8 private insurances. Like loss insurance and disease insurance, and about accident insurance, life insurance, and variable insurance, personal pension and retirement pension, and nursing care insurance or dementia insurance. So I did the cluster analysis about 8 private insurances purchases. So I extracted 3 types of longevity risk management behavior. So, and the independent variable is consumer insurance capacity. It is defined as the level of consumers' knowledge and skill about insurance. It was measured 11 questions of understanding about insurance and 4 questions of insurance handling skill. Also, I did the factor analysis to extract the factors of consumer insurance knowledges and skill. So I got the 4 factors about consumer insurance capacities. And also I have control variables, income and family to support, including children and marital status. The data is the survey. The survey was run for 555 persons, 40 through and 64 years old unretired people by online panel survey in 2019. I did the intentional sampling to get enough nursing care and dementia insurance purchasers. So it is about 50% of the sample. The table 1 shows the general characteristics of survey respondents. So age is concentrated on 40s. It is the limit of the hours that my study, and the marital status of the respondents married is the over 80%. So it is I think it is so over the average in Korean situation. So also income, it is approximately to the average of Korean family. So it is not over, I think. So the frequencies of purchase private insurance related to longevity risks. So the table 2, from table 2 to table 4, it is the description of the insurance purchases. So, and purchases and consumer insurance skill. So it is you can refer to the measurement of the variables. So result cluster analysis and the 3 groups extracted. So the table 5 shows the cluster analysis result of longevity risk management behavior. So 8 personal insurance purchases patterns is further 8 personal insurances purchase is operating for cluster analysis. So cluster ABC was extracted. So A group shows a low pension, middle level of disease insurance and life insurance, and high level of nursing dementia insurance. Group B shows all high level of insurances. Group C shows low pension, middle level of disease insurance and life insurance, and low nursing and dementia insurance. So this is the nursing care and dementia insurance is was different from between A and C groups, and B as it shows there all in all types of insurance related longevity risk high. So A, high nursing and dementia insurance characteristics, and B, all high insurances group. Group C, low nursing dementia insurance group. So the table 6 shows the characteristics of longevity risk management behavior types are different from the insurance knowledge and children and marital status and income. And so it is a ANOVA analysis. So it is a reference to before regression analysis. And the independent variables is the extracted 4 factors of 3 knowledge factors and 1 skill factors. So the 3 factors of insurance knowledge, one means insurance benefits, and the second factor of insurance knowledge means kind of insurances. And the third factor of insurance knowledge means contract maintenance. And the factor of insurance skills skills is including the 4 questions. It is like this. So finally, this is my research main research model. So it is the dependent variable is the nominal data, the 1 to 3 categories. So I apply the multinomial logistics regression. So the table shows multinomial logistics regression result for longevity management behavior. So the group C is base. So it means, so the 3 model was applied to. First model including insurance capacity. And the second model of this multinomial logistics is insurance capacity and family to support variables. The third model of the multinomial logistics, including insurance capacity and family to support and income as independent variables. So this means the insurance capacity is significant on between group B and group C. So it means the group B is the all insurance purchaser group. So the all insurance purchasing, many insurances purchasing is in many insurance purchasing, a consumer have more knowledge about the insurance, have purchased more than so. And the group A is not different as from the group C. But this means the nursing care insurance and dementia insurance purchase is not influenced by their insurance capacity, but the other insurance purchases except dementia and nursing care insurance influenced significantly by the consumer insurance capacity. And second, the family to support variables, the children and marital status. Children are between between group B and groups A and C, and or between group A and between group B and C is in all cases are significant variables. So it is positive influences to personal purchase, private purchase, private insurance purchases. So it is now it means the family support is very important variable about longevity risk management now. And the marital status is only significant in group and between group and group C, but it is not significant between group B and group C. It means the marital status is significant for nursing care insurance and dementia insurance purchase. So now the model 3 is including the income level as control variables. So under control of income level, the insurance capacity and family support continue to be significant as well. So now the implication of my study is the first, consumer insurance knowledge and skill is significant for personal longevity risk management, partially, especially except nursing care and dementia insurance. So financial consumer education for planning longevity risk could be expected effective. And the second of implication is family support variables is significant for personal longevity risk management. Having children is positively to purchase all kinds of insurance related to longevity risk cases. And marital status influences positively on purchase of nursing care, dementia insurance, more. So previously, I think having children and marital status is effects are supposed negatively to purchase the private purchase related to longevity risks, because having children is the substitute to the personal insurance purchase. But my research result is different from my expectation. So this is this make me more study and the finding about the reason of the positive influence to purchase insurance. So and the third of my research implication is income effect. Income influences negatively on purchase of nursing care, dementia insurance more. But not having diverse kinds of insurance related to longevity risk. So, I think this study's sample is oriented 40s and 50s, and the more than the marital state, my sample's marital status is married, almost married. So it is a kind. There are a kind of bias on the research result. However, income influences negative purchase of nursing care dementia insurance means the affluent people take another status to plan to be ready for the care service courses. So this my study means the insurance personal insurance capacity is a significant to the personal management about longevity risks. So this is my presentation. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Song-Soo Kim. Is there any question from the floor?
Hello. Yeah, Professor Kim, thank you for your presentation. I have one question. About your last implication, there is some negative influence between the income level and the the insurance purchasing. So I think naturally it would be the positive influence. So as you said, there would be an alternative way to manage their risk. Then what would be your option? I mean, I'm not that certain about this kind of relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think this might dependent variable, including the insurance purchase, but the people having more wealth can save more for an investment, any other financial product, or to buy to invest the non-financial product. So this is this is my research samples limit. So I try to include the asset level of the sample, but the asset is not significant to the explain between group. So maybe they are this is so they invest. I can explain the reason to about the incomes negative influences to between them. So the more affluent people can save more as another financial product investments. I think. So the investment level or product is not included this the questionnaire. So this is the limit of my research.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other question from the audience? All right. Okay. Then shall we just move on to the next presentation? The next guest speaker is Yun Lee, professor from Jeonbuk National University. He's going to talk about comparative study on the E-commerce Consumer Protection Act. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here and wait a bit. Is it okay?
Are you using two different screens?
Yeah, right. Wait a bit. I'd rather using the PDF form.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sure everybody see my screen. So I will gonna start the presentation. So my name is Yuni, and the topic I want to present today is a comparative study on the cross-border e-commerce Consumer Protection Act. Before starting the presentation, I want to briefly introduce this topic. So the starting point of the research is the question that does consumer who purchase some product or goods on the global e-commerce market, such as Amazon and eBay, could be protected from the domestic Consumer Protection Act. The main question related with this, another question came after this kind of research question would be which rule would be applied in case of the cross-border e-commerce. For example, it could be the role of the customer's country, or the role of the seller's country could be the applicable role. And another question would be does Consumer Protection Act of each country has some kind of difference or not. So maybe in some country there is a protection for the e-commerce consumer, but maybe there is not. So in this study, we will gonna find out which rule should be applied, and what is the content of that. What is the content of the Consumer Protection Act in that country? So that is my brief introduction of the topic. And before starting the presentation, I want to introduce myself. My name is Yuni, as I said before, and I'm currently working in the Jeonbuk National University as an assistant professor. And my department is Department of International Trade, and I just not just 90 days, so I just employed here, so kind of a new professor. About academic background, I got master's degree in Chinese area study and got a PhD in international trade. And before got a PhD, I worked in Samsung CNT and export the skill to the various regions in the world. And currently, my research area is mainly cross-border e-commerce and trade practice and international payment. So if you are interested in this area, please contact me. I made my email address at the end of the presentation. So yeah, this is today's table of contents. The mainly there is two parts: the private international rule and the consumer contract, and the right of withdrawal for e-commerce consumer, which would be the answer for the previous two questions. And in introduction, there is a few background of my research. So this research is part of the little bit project related with the dispute resolution in cross-border e-commerce. And as the use of the cross-border e-commerce increase, the dispute related with the cross-border e-commerce increased too. And it is a little bit outdated, but more than 21% of the Korean use cross-border e-commerce experience the damage from the global seller. So it is quite common, and it is increasing. So we need to find out how to deal with this issue. But as we checked, there is a difficulties around dispute resolution in cross-border e-commerce. So there is not much international rules or norms, regulation for cross-border e-commerce. And the cost per traditional dispute resolution, such as mediation, arbitration, litigation, are quite higher than the expected remedy. So consumers are reluctant to go to this kind of dispute resolution. So in this situation, what I think is that we need some risk management methods related to the cross-border e-commerce. So if we avoid the risk or minimize the risk, then this kind of dispute and claim would be decreased. And second idea is that we would need more protection for the e-commerce consumers. So if we provide more legal protection, then the claim and dispute might be decreased too. And last one is there would be the international for the cross-border e-commerce. If there is some kind of global regime, then it will clear complicated issues related to different jurisdiction and the role and other things. So about the first question, first idea, I already did some kind of research related to this management. As we, we find some cases related with the cross-border e-commerce and find out that risk avoidance and the loss control would be the suitable way to managing the risk from the cross-border e-commerce. And as I remember, I presented this topic 2020 this conference, so you might know about that. Yeah. And so after this kind of risk management in cross-border e-commerce project, I moved to the consumer protection. So in this part, I find out two things should be cleared. So first one is private international law related to the question like the Consumer Protection Act applied to foreign seller of cross-border e-commerce. So though each country have a strong Consumer Protection Act, the counterpart will not accept that kind of role. It is possible. I think it is possible. So our question is that what kind of role are applied in the cross-border e-commerce situation? The seller are located in the foreign country and the customer live in our country, then which role should be applied? Such question. So, but normally about this issue, private international law will will solve this kind of question. But each country have their own private international law. So we need to compare the consumer contract provision in private international law of other countries. So there is first part. Second part would be the comparing the Consumer Protection Act. So the find out the differences in consumer protection law of some major countries. So we are now doing this and still in progress. So not ended project, but still doing. So I'm gonna show some research about the private international law and the right of withdrawal for e-commerce consumers. So first, and these two law are mainly comparing the China and Korea and Japan law. So yeah, let's do that. And before entering the private international law of each country, I have to point out that there is not much global regime regarding this cross-border e-commerce thing. So about the electronic commerce, there is a model law in here from the UNCITRAL trial, but it's just a model law. So it's kind of serving as it is kind of a reference for the country which do not have an electronic commerce law. So we try to show them as it as a model law, and it's not a kind of import for the all country in the world. So so model law is not a kind of global regime. And second one would be the OECD guideline for consumer protection. And this one also have a kind of provision related with the online shopping, but it is just guideline. It also is not a convention, so it's not treated as a law for the country which did not accept. So in small conclusion, there is no international convention or law in cross-border e-commerce consumer rights. So we have to find out domestic law and the private domestic law of the private international law, and the domestic law of the parties would be the governing law of the cross-border e-commerce. So that is why we have to check the private international law. So domestic law must be applied. So we have to find out which one would be applied. And in next part we will check the private international law of the Korea and China and Japan, and the contents basically contents are from our law. So and in Chinese and Japanese version, I find some English version, so I use it. And the whole law is quite long, so I wanna check some points which would be important for the customer and maybe the seller. So in the Korean Act on Private International Law, there is a Article 27, which called the consumer contract, and it said that if the contract is between the consumer and the seller, which would be the company, then the protection given by the mandatory provision of the country shall not be deprived, even if the parties choose the applicable law. So it means that if one party of the transaction is a consumer, then the mandatory provision which would be provided from the Korean law, and that Korean law would be the Consumer Protection Act of the e-commerce, then that would be applied to this kind of consumer contract case. So that is a key point of this one. And another thing is about how can we define the consumer, and what is the consumer contract. And the second, number 2 of the Article 27 is means that in case of the parties do not choose the applicable rule, applicable law, then this contract shall be governed by the law of the habitual residence of the consumer. So the law of the consumer's country would be the governing law of that transaction. So as far as we saw, in many cases of the cross-border e-commerce, it is a consumer contract. I mean, the transaction between the individual customer, which will use their product on their home, or maybe the not business purpose. So in that case, the consumer would be protected by some law of his domestic country. So there is one in there is an explanation from the expression about the Korean private international law. And if we move to the Chinese private international law, the PRC law on application of law to foreign related civil relationship, then Article 42 said that in case of the consumer contract, the laws of the place where the consumer is normally resident shall govern. So it's quite clear. So regardless of whether or not governing law is agreed, the consumer normally the law of the consumer country would be the governing law. So consumer only have the right to choose, and the opposite part of the consumer do not choose the governing law by the terms and conditions. So it is a bit different from the Korean case. So in Korean case, the mandatory provision will be applied, but in here, the governing law will be consumer country's law. So little bit stronger provision related with the consumer contract. And next one is Japanese private international law. So it's quite similar to the Korea. So consumer have a transaction with the seller, then he can the buyer could be protected by some mandatory provision of the consumer's country's law. But one thing which is different from the other countries' law is that the consumer have to manifest their intention to the seller that they gonna apply this kind of mandatory provision. So it is one thing different. And about the second part, so if there is no choice of the law, then the for governing law would be the consumer's habitual residence. Yeah, so law of the consumer's habitual residence would be the governing law in that case. So it is quite similar to the Korea. So until here, what you can see is that both Korea, China, and Japan have a special provision for consumer contract in private international law, and it will protect the weak party in the cross-border e-commerce. So normally, consumer would have a limited information and the economic capacity compared with the company who's selling the product. So government and this legislator tried to protect this party. And but the thing different from the Korea, China, and Japan is that when it comes to the Korea and China, it is this kind of consumer contract provision is an imperative provision. So the parties have to follow that. But in case of the Japan, it is voluntary law. So consumer needs to manifest their intention. So that is different. But the content of the this private international law is similar. In many cases, it is similar, I think. So that is it. And as I said before, the China has some kind of difference about choosing the applicable law, but it is stronger than the Korea and Japan. So from the consumer side of view, it is better. And yeah. So and lastly, if parties do not choose the applicable law, then the governing law would be the law of the consumer's habitual residence. So that part is same for the Korea, China, and Japan. When it comes to the actual cross-border e-commerce marketplace, their governing law would be like this. So in case of the Amazon.com, applicable law is federal law and the law of the state of Washington. And in case of the eBay, it is also federal law and law of state of Utah. So they think that their governing law is like this USA federal law and Washington and Utah state law. But if this consumer buy the product from this Amazon and eBay directory, Amazon and eBay currently provided their own product. I mean, Amazon produce, Amazon sell the product directly. So in that case, legally speaking, consumer could be protected by your domestic law. So that is one thing you can find from this section. And next section, we will gonna touch some rise of withdrawal for e-commerce consumers. So about the consumer protection, the major parts of the consumer claim in cross-border e-commerce would be the response to claim and rejecting the cancellation, refunding, exchanging. As you can see, the share of this kind of claim is over 35%, and so we're gonna focus on this one. So how companies have to accept the withdrawal of the consumer. So in case of the Korea, there is a Consumer Protection Act. I mean, the Act on the Consumer Protection in Electronic Commerce. So in Article 17, there is a cancellation, and we call it in Korea case we call it a cancellation, but on broader term it would be the withdrawal right. So we use that. But anyway, in here, consumer may cancel the contract without reason, and there is a deadline. I mean, the 7 days from the date of receiving a document, they can cancel the contract. So there is detailed content related with this. But anyway, one you should remember is that we have 7-day period for canceling the contract. And next one, there is some kind of limitation. So in this case, from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this case consumer could not cancel the order. So for example, the value of the goods have substantially decreased due to consumers' use or partial consumption. So maybe the value decreased, and the buyer would not, seller would not accept the canceling of the contract. So this kind of thing would be the case which the withdrawal right is limited. And next one is about the it is about the breach of contract from the seller. So if the content of the goods are different from the indication or the advertiser types, then the consumer may cancel the order, but the period would be longer than the simple one. So the simple change of the intention, it is 7 days, but in this case, it is 3 months from the date of receiving, or within 30 days from the date he or she knew the such fact. So that there is a longer period of protection for the consumer of withdrawal right. And that's it. And the next one is about the effect of cancellation. So when consumer cancel the contract, then he or she shall return the goods. So already delivered goods shall be returned. It is quite common in our daily life. So if we get the product, but if there is some kind of problem, we will cancel the purchase. But in this case, we have to return the delivered goods. And after that, the seller shall make a refund of the price of goods. And but normally, if we try to cancel the order and return the goods, then there will be issue related with who will pay for the returning fee. So in here, in case of the simple change of mind, I mean, if customer just did not like the product and just wanted to cancel the order, then the customer shall bear the expenses for returning the goods. So the transportation fee should be borne by the customer. But in case the seller breaches the contract, so there is a discrepancy in the product, then the seller shall bear the expenses for returning. So it is quite common custom in international trade and some cross-border e-commerce. So many sellers showing this kind of term and condition when they posting their product. So what you can say what you can see until here is that in Korean law, we divide it into the we divide the withdrawal right to the two parts. First part is for the simple withdrawal, and the second part is withdrawal because of the withdrawal due to the breach of the contract. So maybe the that kind of division would be also could be found in other countries too. So let's say the second part. How many times? So, sorry for the delay. So let's say the Chinese case. In Chinese case, we have role of People's Republic China on protection of consumer rights and interest. And in here, we have a provision like consumer have the right to return the goods within 7 days of receipt, and did not give a reason instead for the following goods. So consumer have this kind of 7 day for the returning the goods. So returning means some cancellation in the Korean case, and there is a limitation. And some cases it is not allowed. And also in here, the return goods should be in good condition, and refund the consumer's payment for goods within 7 days of receiving returned goods. So goods should be in good condition, and the refund, there is deadline for the refund 7 days. And the last one, shipping costs cost to return goods is borne by consumer. So in case of this is the same as a simple withdrawal from the Korean case. So in case of this simple withdrawal, shipping cost should be borne by the consumer. So same as the Korean. And next one is about some breach of seller's breach of contract. So if the goods do not meet the quality requirements, then consumer also have a return right. And within 7 days, there is no requirement. But after then, there is some legal requirements for this kind of returning. But anyway, if customer meet this kind of requirement, they can return it, and there is no period explicit period on here. And I did not mark it, but in here, in case of this kind of withdrawal, the seller shall bear the expenses for this return. So same as Korea. And let's move to Japan. They provide the related provision in this act on specified commercial transaction. And here, purchaser may withdraw the offer, and the period of the kind of withdrawal is 8 days. So it is about the simple withdrawal. And there's some kind of other detailed requirements set forth in writing. May not claim damage for nor demand the payment of any penalty. But anyway, move on. And have to returning the goods. And in case of the returning the goods, seller bear the cost required for this one. So it is quite different from the Korean case. and there is no there is only this provision related with the bearing the cost. So seller bearing the cost for the simple withdrawal of change of mind. So at the China and the Korea case, the buyer, the customer, have to bear the cost of returning when it comes to their simple change of mind. But in Japanese case, seller bears it. It is quite different from the other two countries. And yeah, let's move on. And next one is if it is a breach of contract of the seller, then the period of withdrawal would be extended. So in here, within 1 year from the time of entering the sales contract. So compared with Korea, it is quite long. In Korea's case, 3 months and 30 days. Yeah, but in Japan, it is 1 year. So quite stronger protection for the Japanese customer. So comparing this kind of three withdrawal rights of the country, these both Korea, Japan, China provide this right, withdrawal rights for e-commerce consumers. And they also divide the case of a simple change and the consumer's intention to purchase, and the case of breach of contract of the seller. So I said before they divide into 2 cases. And period would be a little bit different. So 7 days, 8 days, but 3 months within 30 days, but 1 year in Japan. And cost for returning, Korea and China same. Customer bear it and the seller bear it in case of the seller's breach of contract. But in Japan, the seller bears the cost of taking the returning charge of every case. So in this kind of situation, we might worry that customer easily request the returning or withdraw the contract because they did not bear the cost. Yeah. But anyway, it is Japan's situation, and the period of refund is somewhat different, 3, 7 prompts, but it's not that important. So until here, we see the withdrawal right of the e-commerce consumer. But as you see, the actual case of the cross-border e-commerce market, it is Amazon case. There is a return policy, and return policy, except it is a special case, but normally it is a 30 days. 30 days of return period is provided in this product. So this product is provided by the Amazon. So Amazon guarantees the 30-day returning policy. And in case of the eBay, it is also 30-day refund. So the return policy is 30 days. So, and the return postage are also paid by the seller. Seller pay for the return postage. So this in reality, in many seller in the cross-border e-commerce provide more stronger consumer protection in the market. But in some cases, there is a breach of this kind of consumer protection act in practice too. So let's skip this. So my conclusion here is that I'm still comparing the cross-border e-commerce protection act, but in here there is some research from the Korea, China, and Japan, and I try to expand it to the other ASEAN country and maybe USA and other developed countries. And implication of this kind of study would be to the consumer protection and the company who try to export your products through the cross-border e-commerce channel. So they're gonna check some regulation from their exporting country. So yeah, so that's it. That's all for my presentation, and thank you for hearing. Any question?
Is there any questions from the audience? Yeah, thank you very much for Professor Lee for your presentation by discussing extensively on Consumer Protection Act, just by comparing 3 different legislations. Just one simple question, just out of curiosity, maybe. Is there any like an effort, international effort to integrate all these like a Consumer Protection Act in like a e-commerce transaction? I mean, maybe not.
There is a working group in the department from the UN. There is some kind of working group to study about this thing.
Oh.
But it is a quite controversial thing. Each country tried to protect their customer and their own industry. So there is a conflict of the interest. So quite wrong way to make an agreement related to this kind of protection act.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I guess it's lunchtime for everybody, so it's just better just to finish to take a break for now. Thank you again, Professor Lee, and also congratulations on your position.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we shall come back by 1 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Enjoy your lunch and stay tuned. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, since Yeon-soo Kim, the first presenter, is not present at the moment, the second presentation is going to be first played for now. So for the afternoon session, Professor Jung Hoon-ju is gonna talk about the relationship between insurance premium and risk management.